Hi everyone, this is Dane Dormio, and today I'd like to talk with you in more detail about one of the exercises from the opening sequence of the daily dose process. And this exercise basically is just called weight shifting, and it just has to do with the horizontal shifting or side-to-side component of the three modes of movement. The three modes of movement are vertical up and down, vertical rotation about a fixed axis, and horizontal shifting or side-to-side movement or weight shifting. So this is a movement that encapsulates and embodies the pure horizontal side-to-side shifting component of the three modes of movement. It's primarily a balance exercise. It's for developing the quality of balance or equilibrium as well as sensitivity, and it also has the characteristic of being purely involved with the lower body and the legs, while the upper body is neutral and just kind of goes along for the ride. So I'll demonstrate this movement first from the front and then from the side, and then talk about some of the details and potential pitfalls with this movement. That's from the front and from the side. So now to explain some of the details about this, separating the horizontal side-to-side movement from the other components of movement, especially up and down, is key to this. We want the feet stay flat, the hips stay level, the spine stays vertical, chest open, shoulders dropped, eyes on the horizon, all those other postural points. And we want to minimize or eliminate any up and down movement of the center. This is a matter of the hips, knees, and ankles all coordinating to generate pure horizontal movement. So with the feet can be hip width apart or shoulder width apart. They don't really need to be any further than that. In our neutral or center position, the knees will be slightly bent, meaning that we're not standing as high as we could be standing, but we're standing a little bit lower. And then as we shift the weight to one side, we're taking the center and moving it horizontally so that it is directly over the center of one foot. Doing that requires that this leg shortens by the knee bending, this leg lengthens by the knee opening or straightening, and then going the other way is the opposite. This knee is now lengthening, this knee is now shortening, and if the legs lengthen and shorten in corresponding proportions, then we'll get pure side-to-side movement like this. You'll notice the height of my center, my shoulders, my head isn't changing. Everything is moving horizontally as I go across like this. If the knees, hips, and ankles don't coordinate with each other in this fashion, say if this knee opens before this knee closes, so it happens in sequence like that, that generates this rising and falling movement. You can see my center is moving now in sort of an arc. It goes up and then goes down. And we want to avoid that. We want to have just pure horizontal movement, everything at the same level as we go across. This exercise is also an opportunity for us to work in detail with weight shifting. And the way that works is when the center of the body is directly over the center of the base, the weight is evenly distributed in the feet, it's 50-50. Then as we shift the center towards one foot, that foot gets heavier, the other foot gets lighter. We want to continue moving the center until it's directly over one foot. Then this foot has 100% of the weight, and this foot has 0% of the body's weight. And when that happens, then there's no more pressure between this foot and the ground, and it essentially floats up. We don't have to lift the leg is just empty, it's weightless, so it comes up all by itself, and then we can slide it across the ground with no weight in it, or even just slightly off the ground until it's touching the other foot. Just to work with the mobility of the leg that's empty, and also to ensure that we have 100% of our weight in the weighted leg. And then after we bring the feet together, then we shift the foot back out again, sliding it along the top of the ground with no pressure, or just slightly off the ground. Make contact with the ground at the edge of our reach, and then shift the weight to the other side, and the same process happens in reverse. Here's 50% of the weight, 50-50. Here it's 60-40, then 70-30, then 80-20, then 90-10, then 95-5, then 99-1, and then in that transition, that small little transition between 99-1 and 100-0, then this foot becomes weightless. It becomes detachable from the ground without changing anything else in the configuration of my body. In other words, if this foot is not completely empty, if it's even 1% of the weight, then if I try to lift it, one of two things will have to happen. Either I'll lift it and fall in that direction because some of the weight is still there, or as I lift it, I'll have to shift further to get completely into this foot, or I'll have to distort my spine and torso in some way to counterbalance in order to get my center of mass over the center of this foot. And we don't want any of those things to happen. We want to shift completely all the way from 99-1 to 100% 0%, and at that point, this foot then becomes detached from the ground. You can see it's no longer touching the floor, and then I can move it wherever I'd like to, position it wherever I'd like, without anything changing in the arrangement of the rest of my body. My center is still directly over the center of this foot. The hips are level, the spine is vertical, chest is open, shoulders dropped, eyes on the horizon, arms relaxed. And this foot is free to move. And then it could be placed down anywhere, but for purposes of this exercise, we're just working with the pure horizontal side-to-side weight shifting, transferring the weight smoothly, cleanly, fluidly from one leg to the other. The aim for this movement is for it to be slow and smooth and relaxed. So the slower you can make this movement happen, the better. At least as long as you're smooth. The movement is smooth, meaning we don't want it to be jerky. We don't want to be starting and stopping or speeding up and slowing down. We want to be one steady, continuous speed the whole way throughout the movement. The more smooth and relaxed we can make this movement, the better. And at the same time, we're allowing the breath to move fully in and out without holding it, without forcing it. And continuing to use the breath to release tension from the body, especially the upper body, as we continue with this movement. So, just a reminder again, the type of defects that commonly occur with this are tilting the hips or distorting the hips one way or another. Even if the spine is up, we might be tilting the hips this way, or we might be tilting the hips this way in order to counterbalance, rather than having a vertical and aligned spine that's directly over the center of our base, even when that's on one foot. So visually, using something like a mirror to see this alignment can be helpful, especially at first, but the main thing is that we want to feel the vertical alignment. We want to feel the verticality. We want to feel when our body is stacked over our base and we're sinking from the waist down and floating from the waist up. Developing the sensation of proper alignment is primary over the visual sense. Although the visual sense can be helpful in calibrating the feeling sense. So I hope that this information is useful to you. I hope it's something you're able to incorporate into your practice. Certainly for any kind of martial practice, the transfer of the weight between the legs is crucial. It's the main source of power generation, and it's also really, really critical for balance, that we transition the weight smoothly and fluidly. That's what it allows us to maintain a dynamic equilibrium as we're shifting, as we're moving around, as we're responding to outside influences. Shifting the weight smoothly and cleanly from one foot to the other is what allows us to remain vertical and upright and stable, whatever else may be going on at the time. And in daily life as well, weight shifting is something that often happens very unconsciously. We don't even notice what we're doing on a micro level, and there's lots of ways that energy gets wasted, lots of ways we put unnecessary strain and wear and tear on the joints by sort of going unconscious with what we're doing with our legs and our feet and not really being aware of our contact with the ground. So is bringing your awareness into the contact between your feet and the ground, and having your legs be more alive, active, sort of pliable entities, rather than sort of going numb to what's happening from the waist down, will bring more ease and grace, and as well as structure and stability into everything that you do, and reduces the sort of chronic pain that people often feel from standing or from walking for long durations. If you are using your body smoothly and efficiently, then you'll create a lot less wear and tear and a lot less soreness over time. So I hope that this is useful to you. I hope you're able to incorporate it into your practice as well as into your daily life. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for joining me on this lifelong mind-body mastery journey. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.